Today I will be talking about FME for Construction GIS. Now, as a famous Australian scholar once said, here's my face. My name's Leon Bowers, National GIS Manager for Acciona. So, engineering construction. Mega projects, big risks, but small margins. That's how I'm going to frame this discussion. Acciona Construction Australia delivers some of the nation's largest infrastructure projects, including rail, road, tunnels, and airports. And you would have most likely driven across or through, caught a train through one of our assets that we've built in the last week or so. So the objectives for today's talk, I want to give an insight into how FME is being used in construction and particularly Acciona and the value we gain from it. And so we'll discuss the challenges of Construction GIS, our main priorities, delivering our construction projects, how we use FME Desktop and Server to solve those challenges. So these challenges I've been talking about, well, there's lots of risk. So safety is the primary one, and the risk there is that there are injuries and death, and they have happened sadly in the past. Profitability is also quite a risky aspect of our business. So there's actually the potential for big losses, and you don't have to go too far back to find some of those. Projects need to be done correctly if they're going to be successful. For us, quality information for decision making mitigates that risk. If that information is wrong or untimely, the risk is increased and bad things happen. So the information that we need, we get information from 4 primary places, and there are many more, particularly environment, and geotech, and communities and the like, but these are the 4 that we get most of our information from, and they are survey, as in where is everything we're constructing around, utilities, and particularly underground utilities. That is a huge risk for us in service strikes. Design, what are we constructing? And as-built information, what have we already constructed? When was it constructed? And then an extension to that, quality, how was it constructed, and can we guarantee it? So this information comes from surveyors, BIM teams, designers in both 2D and more commonly 3D. The information needs transformation into GIS formats to be capable of delivery by common web mapping means. And that's nothing new to the people listening to this, I'm sure. So the answer, well, get a heap of people to keep the information up to date, right? Or wrong. We'd love that, but budgets are tight. Digital engineering, including GIS, is mandated on major construction projects now. That doesn't mean there's a river of cash for it. We have a lot to do with a little. We need to be efficient. We need to be quick. We need to automate. And we can't sacrifice quality or accuracy while doing that. So the solution. Just recapping the problem, we've got mountains of data in different complex formats. We have the need for up-to-date data for mitigating our risk and good decision making. And we need to do a lot with a little. The solution for us is FME Desktop and FME Server. I'm sure you're not surprised there, given where you are. The result is that we can reduce our safety risks, we can make those good decisions, and we can have an efficient workforce. Not just the GIS team. I'm not just talking about GIS professionals being efficient. I'm talking about an efficient workforce in construction. So that's people in the field, that's our management, the whole project. So what do we do with FME Desktop? Well, first of all, we download a lot of MetroMap. So we use the high resolution imagery from Aerometrics, and our GIS includes web services from that service, and we use that a lot. But it is something that having a physical copy on disk cannot replace. So the ability to have that and look over it in time is very important to us, and we need to sometimes create massive mosaics, ECWs, for delivery around our projects as well. So we use FME Desktop to provide a project boundary and download high resolution imagery into large scale mosaics. We also use FME Desktop for data manipulation and analysis we don't want to do in ArcGIS Pro, and honestly, that's nearly everything. There are tools that are locked away in different software versions of ArcGIS Pro, licensing levels that we can get around quite easily with FME Desktop and do that in a much more efficient way. What do we do with FME Server? Well, we do a hell of a lot with FME Server. I'm going to take you through some of the uses that we have. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll talk through how we are using it. So one of those ways is by automating the joining of data from disparate systems where APIs are not available. Obviously, where APIs are available, we would integrate systems with each other via that. But sometimes we need to shift data from one place to another, and FME Server is an excellent way to do that. We didn't do that on a schedule overnight, for instance, or as we need to. Another use is we trawl SharePoint for project photos for sharing on our project GISs. So construction has a lot of people in the field of many different disciplines, and sometimes their preferred way of capturing information, rather than using an app and attaching photos to features, is to simply use a device's camera. We find that all too often, and those photos will come back to a project and get dumped in a SharePoint directory where it will be lost for years until someone needs to do some sort of forensic analysis to go and find something. What we like to do is use FME Server to go and trawl that SharePoint for geotagged photos and bring it back out to the project through our project GIS. Another use we have is we poll ArcGIS Enterprise each night for stats that feed into a GIS usage database, or dashboard, I should say. This is particularly useful to see how the uptake on our projects, the number of users we're having over time, and also a complete view of our platform. We use FME Server to extend our software, so that being Vertigis Studio and ArcGIS Enterprise, and we bake in some FME Server capabilities into our workflows through apps, and we even use it to deliver complex printing tools as well. A number of our clients require metadata data dictionaries or data registers to be delivered on a regular basis. And given our apps, our web apps, our project GIS sites contain hundreds of data sets, this can be quite an onerous task. So we use FME Server to simply ease that data collation by pulling metadata from web maps for those data registers. The one you see here in the window there is simply an FME Server app that takes the item ID of a web map and then downloads an Excel of all of the contents. We also provide users with web apps, or FME Server apps, I should say, that enable them to do self-serve information. In this case, coordinate system conversions or coordinate conversions from one coordinate system to another. Continuing on the self-service theme, which is where a lot of the value is for us, we have recently started providing data upload and update capabilities for our project GIS. So this example here is where our surveyors can upload a 12D XML file of all of the services that they have surveyed during the day or at any time during the day. Click run and our project GIS is updated. Another way for us to do that is obviously to have them update that survey into ProjectWise or SharePoint, and for us to automatically ingest that based on some triggers. But this, we find, gives them ultimate control, and they like to feel that they can update the GIS when they want it as well. So that's just a very brief overview of some of the ways that we're using FME in construction. The benefits that we receive from that, well, we improve the time taken for data to reach our GIS, and that's really important for us. We don't want to have data sitting in directories for days that should be out there being used by our users. And we use automation, or we have people push that from its source. We accomplish some very complex operations that are readily repeatable, and FME is fantastic for that because you can set a workbench to take multiple inputs, to do any sort of translations that you want, to merge data sets and have a consistent output each time, just using the one software application. This obviously improves our efficiency, and through the use of the software, we improve quality as well. So our next steps, well, get rid of FME Server, and that's only to move to FME Cloud. So we're sick of managing infrastructure. We don't have a huge instance of FME Server currently that's on-prem. We've got a single FME Server instance, a single engine currently, and for us, upgrading that has become too risky. It's a production instance, there is no dev environment, and we know that we can't continue down that path. We haven't been able to take advantage of the latest software updates, and so we're taking this chance now to move to a SaaS deployment. And that's common across the rest of our GIS infrastructure as well. We have predominantly on-prem GIS infrastructure, and our ICT is asking all of our application owners to move to SaaS wherever possible. For us, that includes FME Server. So Acciona have now implemented FME Cloud. Setting up FME Cloud to run multiple FME Server instances was very quick and a painless exercise. I started with a trial, the $250 US dollars trial with my corporate credit card, and I was up and running. I created a tiered architecture within 15 minutes, dev environment and a production environment as well. We've formalized that trial now, and we have a managed support plan that assists us with upgrades and any potential issues that we may encounter in the future. As I said, we now have essentially a tiered architecture, and that happened very quickly and easily. We're managing our risk essentially. Right now, we're currently transitioning our current FME Server content, which is on-prem, to those cloud instances. So in conclusion today, Acciona sees our FME investment as pivotal and essential in managing our project data risks. It ensures the quality of our information and improves the efficiency of our operations. We could not deliver what we need to with the limited resources that we have, and that's in terms of budget, in terms of people, in terms of time, without FME Desktop and Server. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to take any queries through my email.